One of the great things about being an academic is that you can't be told what to say, and the government knows that. Ever since 9/11, there's been a kind of understanding that security and human rights are in opposition, but that somehow we have to do things to human rights to increase our security levels. The idea that we should apply the lesser evil principle, that we should, torture if there's a ticking time bomb. So these are all very strong dilemmas that I think academics have to have answers to, because it's kind of our responsibility to translate what we know and understand into the outside world.
The Joint Committee on Human Rights is a parliamentary select committee, and its job is to report to Parliament on anything which the government's doing which has got human rights implications. But they need legal advice to help them do that job of reporting to Parliament. So they have a couple of legal advisors, but those legal advisors can't cover everything or be experts in absolutely everything. So there's a really important role for independent academic research.
You can't affect policy or politics by sitting inside the university. Really, I think you have to be prepared to engage with some kind of political activity. I've been very lucky because there have been a number of opportunities that I've had to contribute at the level of policy.
In 2009, I was asked by the then Labour government if I would carry out for them an independent review of the way people who report rape are dealt with by public authorities. The point is the state going to provide redress, or just going to provide a court system and a punishment system? And I thought that it would be helpful if in my report I could give some indication where the law stood on this.
There's a really exciting line of cases and a line of international law that has been focusing on the human rights of rape victims for the last 30 years.
And she agreed to produce a short paper setting out what victims' rights in this environment about this subject were. I thought it would be good for people who work out in the field and aren't scholars to have access to some material like that would give them confidence to go to their local authority or whoever it is and say, the people I'm looking after need help and I think you should be giving it to them and I think it's their right.
The central finding of that report was that the state has, as a matter of human rights law, duties to rape victims. They have to criminalise rape in such a way that the concept of rape in law includes situations which are not just about extreme coercion. From my perspective, there are positive duties that the state must fulfil.
2 weeks after it came out, there was a general election and another set of parties came in. Quite reasonably, it took them a year. They did put out a response accepting all except 2 of my recommendations, and particularly important, reaffirming that a victim is entitled to help and support as a right, whether the case is reported or not, whether it goes to court or not, and whether there's a conviction or not. A lot of what goes on in politics is extraordinarily ill-informed. That may be because information is not what's driving it, but the more accurate information that can be got into the political domain, the better our decision making will be and the better the laws will be.
And it's impossible to underestimate how contentious the debate can often be in Parliament on matters to do with human rights and the rule of law. Good academic research can always find an audience within Parliament.
When you're an advocate or a barrister, or when you're in an activist position, you're doing something else. You're arguing a position, right? I'm not arguing a position. I'm trying to look at both positions. I'm trying to analyse a framework within which to think about this. So the independence that I have, that I'm only answerable to my own conscience, is really, really a wonderful part of what I do.